Calvin T. Mann, leading Emmy, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to EMIYTV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Yes. Good afternoon. I can honestly tell you how these headphones drive me crazy. Yeah. Today is a good day. What a weekend. What a last 5-7 days.
For sure.
Woo. Whirlwind.
Tell the people why, though.
Well, I'm gonna let you have your good times. I'm laughing because as I'm looking at this thing, I'm looking just like my brother Colum, like with this bald head. Although I got hair, he don't even have a mustache. He doesn't even have a mustache. I got hair on my face. He looked 15. He's 65 and looked 15 years old with no hair on his face. Like, his mustache is struggling big time. He has a very tiny mustache. Right?
You leave my big brother alone.
Pastor Columbus Jr. mustache has been missing for 65 years. Like, he got a whisker. You know what I mean? Like, one whisker. Anyway, it's about good times today. Today we're going to talk about good times. For those of you who are watching or tuning in, those of you, just a quick message to all the young men out there, young boys at any school, in every school, teachers who have boys, schools who have boys. I will come talk to your boys, and immediately, because after understanding where we are, I have been convinced, so I'm gonna do more in this area to come and visit the boys and share love and some positive messages. I'm coming in a half hour, I'm talking to the boys, and I'm leaving. So
don't make it seem like it's cut and dry now.
I mean, I'm just that's I mean, because I know I'm gonna get multiple schools, and so I got to get that whisker cutter. My nose hairs is getting too long, and
your sidebars, really.
Yes.
Nose hairs.
And so excuse me. So that being what it is, so I'll sign up and come in and show them some love. I think it's important that I begin to do that. It's been in my heart. It's been in my spirit, and that goes along with just the how do you put it? That goes along with the help me out here. With the journey. So, go ahead. Have to take it from there.
Right. I see you need a little bit of she assistance. Some she speak in this conversation. Well, thank you, Calvin, for turning it over. I am really excited today about this topic called good times. And so, if you were, raised in the 70s, even a part of the 80s, you may know that show Good Times. At the time that I watched Good Times, it was just good to see black people on TV. In a family environment for most of the show, while James was there, and he disappeared, then they brought in Keith, who was Thelma's husband. And then, I just want to point out just a couple of themes in that Good Times show. That how it showed the relationship between neighbors. If y'all remember Walona, I think was her name. Y'all remember Walona? She was actually a neighbor, and she was a part of the village, right? She was a part of their community. Bookman, who was the maintenance guy in the apartment complex they lived in, he was a part of the community. He was a kind of a funny kind of character in that way, but he was a constant also. He was a representative of those men in our community who played a role. It was a significant role, but we may not have seen them as a significant role. But he was constant, he was present, and he was always offering wisdom, even though some of it created laughs, and he was often the butt of the jokes, no pun intended, because they always talked about his butt. But when you think about that, and you think about the time in our lives when that show was on, and why it was called Good Times, when they seemed to have no good time. They seem to have gotten no level of breaks and no level of, to me, now this is just my opinion, but it was, when I look back on that show now, I see it in a way that it is both progressive and regressive, right? Like, we've gone back, quite a few years in terms of distance, in terms of things that in terms of things of yesteryear. If you guys can remember the character, so Thelma was very intelligent. Every male that I knew always had a crush on her. Even now, as she's a beautiful, more mature woman, that she was like everybody's ideal of woman or young girl at that time. Michael was militant. He was pro-black. He was educated. He was articulate. He was always expressing himself and asking those sometimes difficult questions of his parents, of anybody that was around that was listening, and how he portrayed the image of a young man, right? So all of those things to me were very progressive. The mother that was there that was trying to doing her best to raise her family and her children with values and respect and responsibility and hope more than anything. And so that idea of mother, all of those traits and characteristics were very progressive. Calvin and I are always talking about our community. We're talking about our families. We're talking about our acceptable culture, right? And I'm always going to refine and define them for you. When we talk about acceptable culture, we talk about those things that have become habits or behaviors in our homes and then expanding out into our community where they're also accepted. Because we don't stand up and offer an alternative, or we just kind of go along with the program. And so in terms of things that about the Good Times show that was very regressive, right? It was a clear example of poverty. It was a clear example of ongoing generational poverty. Because as soon as they would get to a place where they were going to move on up, right, like the Jeffersons, they would never reach that pinnacle. Something would always bring them back and put them back into that poverty mindset. Even when Thelma was marrying Keith, and Keith had this great potential football career, what happened? He got injured, and he fell back into the whole poverty mindset. And so again, that show was both, to me, progressive and regressive. And it also showed, it also portrayed people who, I'm using air quotes, were in the ghetto, right? That was a big piece of that. And some of the, and I'm not going to get into some of the episodes, but some of the things that it actually demonstrated that were things that were happening in the community. But it was not enough of the good things that happen in our community. And so I'm just going to frame our conversation today around some of the good things that happen in our community. I'm going to give you a couple of sources that I would like for you to subscribe to outside of Encourage Me I'm Young, because we have great insight and information that's on our YouTube channel and all of our social media. We're always offering positive information there. But I want you to subscribe to Good Black News. Subscribe to Good Black News. One of the things I want you to use that resource for is to counter all of the negative images that you see about Black people and about our history and about our culture and about what we're doing now. Bless you, honey. Those things are simply important to keep those things in front of you, to make sure that the news that you're receiving is also from a different source, that is sourced by people who look like you, who think like you, who work like you, who build like you, who are growing like you. That's why they were established. And so so the other part, another source is also called simply Black News. And that's where you could find an article where Calvin was recently featured in an interview. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because this is good news, good time.
I haven't seen it.
What do you mean you haven't seen it? You sent the link out.
That was blacknews.com.
Okay, that is what we're talking about.
Well, you said simply Black News, but it was Black News.
No. I'm saying it was called Black News.
I'm not here to argue with you, baby. I'm on your team.
Do you want to share about the article?
Well, it was the article was put out to raise attention to the mobile mentoring bus and about our apparel and our apparel line and how we're using that to our apparel to also contribute to other organizations and causes, from the birds, the eagle. And I think that I'm going to help Taraji P. Henson.
Okay. And you can talk a little about that good news, too. So next I want to talk about our home culture and some of the things that we experience in our home culture. And again, we're looking and speaking on good times. And then if you're not, if you don't feel like in your home there are good times, and that's not to say that every day may be or may not be a good time, but there are ways that we can make sure that home is a good time and a good place. So it's a place that people want to go back to, come back to after a long day, or look forward to after a long day or a difficult day. So I think one of the things that's important to have in a home, and we're talking about a good home, is good conversation and discussions. If you're not having good conversations and good discussions at home, it may set up an environment where people don't want to be there because people are not talking and engaging and expressing themselves. So if that exists in your home, in your space, that's a blessing, and keep it up. Also, start to guide that conversation, looking at things of the future, looking at where you want to be, what are your dreams, what are your hopes, even what are your fears, so that we can help together eliminate your fears. Do you need some Kleenex, honey?
I'm sorry, no.
Okay. Because I think it's some paper towel over there if you need to.
That's too rough for my nose.
Okay. Well, can you keep your nose silent while we're going through this process?
Yes, dear.
Thank you. All right. So if you're not having those kind of good conversations in your home, stimulating conversations, here are some things that you can do to make it happen. There are a couple of, if you Google family conversations, in my household, we have these cards that called, we have two sets of cards. One is called Show Me You Know Me. It's a game. And then another one is called Family Talk. And so these are kind of conversation starters or prompts, and they're really interesting to have. But if you don't actually have the games yourself, you can consider just Google family conversations.
You left out the losses at Scrabble. Go ahead.
I didn't get to that yet. Another way to establish a good home is to consider establishing house rules. House rules may be, well, first of all, you need to have a family meeting to discuss the house rules. So you can tell your family, okay, we're taking a pause right now, and we are going to have this family meeting. So you're going to schedule it for a day and time where most of the family member will be there. And then you're going to tell them that today we're starting some new traditions, some new habits, and some new opportunities to build our family. And by doing that, you're going to talk about home rules. And home rules may include things like on Saturdays, we're going to do a house cleaning. We're going to go clean the yard. We're going to go and wash laundry together. We're going to sort it. We're going to wash them. We're going to put it away. We're going to do something that is around the house that, and I'm saying whether it's an apartment, it doesn't matter what you call a house or a home. It just matters that you do it together and that you're investing in that space together that you call home. And so you're going to make that declaration. You're going to set a date. So this is like a family date. You're going to set that date. You're going to set that time, and then you're going to set the agenda for that. You're going to start fresh establishing house rules. And maybe you had house rules before and people got older and got more busy and all of those types of things that happen in families. But you want to bring it back. You want to bring that thought, that work, that opportunity back to build and grow together. One of the values long term of having a family meeting or setting house rules is that it sets an expectation. And that expectation becomes habit, becomes tradition that you're passing on to your children. So if you want your children to have a healthy home, you have to show them what a healthy home looks like. At least start the process so that they know what they can do. In the house rules, during that time, you want to open the floor. You want to open the conversation to everybody, and everybody's voice must be heard about what they want to contribute to the house. And so it doesn't matter their age, and everybody has to respect that person's voice and whatever it is they say they want. So maybe you have a 6-year-old that says, I think we should have popcorn every Friday night. And, some people may laugh, all of that, but it needs to be taken into consideration. So take everybody's voice seriously so everybody has a sense of belonging. There's nothing worse than being in a family where your voice is never heard, or where your opinions or your thoughts are not valued, and everybody has jokes about it and nobody is taking it seriously. It does long-term damage to that person, because that is how they're going to treat their relationships. Either they're going to be overly aggressive in trying to make their point, or they're going to be people pleasers and not have an opinion or a thought of their own because it's been smothered over the years. So be mindful of that. So house rules, you could also set in house rules that we're going to start celebrating birthdays. If that's not something that you do already, or we're going to celebrate a particular holiday, or we're going to celebrate something new that you want to add, because even in the Bible, it talks about celebrations. It talks about in most holy text, they always talk about coming together to celebrate, because those actually are rituals. So we need rituals in our lives because those are part of our habits and behaviors that we pass down through generations. A very important part of being a family and a very important part of good times. I particularly, we have September birthdays in my family. Is one of the traditions that we have that moved from our household because we have so many people born in September in our family, in our immediate family. And there's so many more in our, uncles, aunts, cousins, all of those people in our family. We have so many that we have on Labor Day weekend, we have what we call September birthdays. And without an excuse, everybody that is married into our family, there is someone who is a September birthday. And so it had just become a family tradition, and we've been at least celebrating it for 25 years that I know of. And so it's been a very special time for our family, but it also lended to our individual family about celebrating and doing things together. So most people may have the 4th of July where they celebrate and they have barbecues and family gatherings. Sometimes it's Labor Day, sometimes it's Christmas or Thanksgiving. Even outside of those traditions or those traditional recognized holidays, create your own as a family. So that's another one of the ways that we can share good times. The next one is, how do we have and learn how to cook? So everybody in your family should know how to cook. They should be able to cook a breakfast meal, a lunch, and a dinner meal, at least one. Everybody should have a pocket full of them, but at least one. So as a family, how do you ensure that somebody is, that you're going to make sure that that person, that individual, as an individual, will always have a way to make a meal, but as a family, that there's always something that can be done for each other to make that meal. That's another way that around food, and this is a historic tradition that we fellowship around food. And so it's important that you actually make something that somebody else will eat besides you. So, your peanut butter, strawberry and peach muffins, whatever it is that you're able to make, that's an important piece that you add. And it brings value. And so when you have family gatherings, maybe you have that one meal or that one dish that people love to have. So for me and my family, it's my pasta salad. So my family, I can't come to an event and if I'm not making a pasta salad. So there are other things that I can cook, of course, but that just happens to be my signature within my family. It's full of flavor and vegetables, and it's filling on its own. But that's one of the things I make. My auntie Barbara is famous for her macaroni and cheese. I know everybody has somebody that makes a good macaroni and cheese that you bring to a family meal. And so those things are also ways to have good time around food, around family, and around valuing how people make contributions to the family. And another way, as a tradition, to make sure that everybody in your family is capable of having at least, that's three meals that they can make: a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. And so, you can talk about what that's going to be and designate that amongst your family members. Okay, you make this for breakfast and this is your breakfast meal. Or allow them to go through recipe books, find something that they want to explore, and it becomes their own recipe. Calvin, you have anything to add to that?
So, one, it is a life skill, so you should be teaching it anyway.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Right? And you never know when there's a time when you're sick and your kids can step up and help you. It's a good way of teaching accountability, and that as a parent, sometimes you're going to need some help. So teaching your kids that you can depend on them is a strong asset to the family and the conversation. So love all those things. Our thing, that you got the holidays. We used to have that, until my mom went on. But you have these days that you should be teaching them the days. You should be passing down the recipes, right? And that's also part of your legacy. That's it.
Alrighty, thank you. Another piece that should be part of your family expressions and your family good time is, again, talking about having a voice, knowing how somebody actually is feeling. We all have signs and clues that we give when we're happy, when we're sad, when we're worried. There's certain things or characteristics about us that shift and change with our moods. And the more you see and get to know your family members, truly get to know them, you can see those shifts and the ebb and flow of where they are and how they're feeling, and not just saying things to end the conversation. People say, I'm good, and you're not good. You're not good. You're hurting, you're upset, you're afraid, whatever that emotion, that your real emotion is that you're not sharing. There should be clues and cues as to what is really happening, or something that triggers a response from you or the people who are around you in terms of your family in your home, that they might understand that, okay, you're not well, you're not right. I can see it on your face. I can hear it in your voice. You're not yourself today. And because we have to pay closer attention to our family, our loved ones, because things are happening quickly. And for some, it may be something that built up over time. They might be experiencing anxiety. They may be experiencing some levels of depression. They may be experiencing fear or regret or shame. And if you're not paying attention, you can miss that, because it may not be that the person is so willing to offer what's really happening when you ask at first. But if they know that you care and they really are trying to get something, the thought removed or get away from whatever it is bothering them, they need to be able to trust that you really care. And so the more you know and you can see those subtle changes in an individual, you may be able to recognize a health challenge, in the midst of it happening, and not be taken by surprise. When someone, may get ill, or someone may, be having a mental break. We need to recognize that with people in our lives, and pay attention, and also be able to challenge when somebody says, I'm good, and you can clearly see that they're not good. There's some interventions that you can take. There's some tools that are available, and there's some help for you and for them when you recognize those signs and symbols. And one of our partners is a CNS Healthcare, and they have an information line as well. That's the 988 too?
Yes.
Yeah, the 988 number. It's a crisis line. So whether that is a suicidal ideation or somebody that you can see quickly declining, maybe it's health, maybe it's mental health. All of those things they're good for us to know and to notice.
Well, 988 is a resource, and you can use it, and it'll put you in touch with some things and some services that you could use. It'll also get you swooped up real quick if you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And it was a good response to having you dial 1-800 instead of 1-800. Now it's just 988.
And so we were recently at a conference, and they spoke to the fact that people are not watching. We're not watching how the subtle changes that are happening within our lives until until somebody is crashing. We don't want to wait till somebody is crashing before we offer the type of love and support that they need. And anybody who can notice can intervene. And we are empowered to do that. Intervene. Don't allow it to go further than it needs to go, and unnoticed as well. So it's also important that you let people know that you see them, that you love them, that you care about them. This is part of that home conversation. And this is how we change our environment, the environment that we're in, that we don't want or we don't like. This is part of that process. And so lastly, under our home culture, we can have family nights or family meetings. Those things are also important. In our house, we have a family night. And kind of family night is around learning, it's around fun, and
losing.
And you're trying your best not to be in the disciplinary parent role at that time.
They lose all the time.
And so
I win 92% of every game. I mean, it's got to be amazing. I got to get credit for something. 92% on family night.
You do win a lot, but not as much as
92%.
Not as much as 92%.
You won one game.
I've won several games,
including
won the last family night. Just so you know.
Won one game,
including the last family night.
No, that was that. What was that?
The memory game.
No, I won the memory game. It's the one before that you won, with the little bobbles, the little cones that you move around, and you roll the dice, and you move 7 spots.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. That's exactly it. Right. You won that game.
I've won other games, especially Scrabble.
And then you won... No. Why you just tell that lie?
I do win in Scrabble.
No, you don't.
Not every game, but I win in Scrabble. My score is a high score.
Yeah, why would you tell the truth?
My score is a high score.
What they used to say, tell the truth despite the devil.
I have the high score. I just wanted you to know
you
that.
Have lost more.
And in backgammon.
you've not won there.
I have.
Oh my God!
I've won a couple of
because it's the
backgammon
camera.
games.
See, you done turned into a 45.
No.
Because the camera is rolling, so you go tell her, sit here and tell her. Well, my mama, hey, Monique, my mama would say, now why would you tell that bald face lie?
No. I didn't say I won all of the games. I said I win at backgammon.
So I said 92%. You win 8% of the time.
It's more than just the two of us.
No, it ain't 8%.
No, we're not gonna take that.
You
one.
have not exceeded more than 8%. On family night, you won Scrabble one time. Well, twice. Out of all the times we played, you beat me twice. Sorry, you just won Sorry. And then you won at that one game with the different questions. Other than that, I keep track of my victories. Just for this moment.
No. You do win. You do win often.
92%.
You do win often. I'm not going to give you 92% though. So, the next thing that we can talk about in terms of good times is our community culture. Some of the activities that are happening in our community, right? So, I want you to think about it. Think about some of the activities that we used to have when you were growing up. One of my favorite community activities was the block club parties. Block club parties, you had a dance routine. You could go and eat anybody's food that was barbecuing or grilling. It was mostly hot dogs and hamburgers and potato chips and ice cream. But what I also loved about it is that they would start early in the morning. You know, they would block off the streets. That was fun. They would, open up the fire hydrants. They would, and on my block, they actually decorated. So all of those little flags, the string with the flags, they would be strung from tree to tree, from corner to corner, and it just looked so festive up against the green of the trees. And you got to run in the street and play in the street.
Yeah, that was 1970.
Yeah, because I wasn't allowed to go in the street any other time.
1976.
And we had block club celebrations up till I went to college. And my sister would come back every year and organize a block club. Yeah, she did that up until probably maybe, I think she moved maybe 10 years. It's been 10 years. But it was still such a commitment, even though some of the elders that started the traditions are no longer with us. Just because of them, you know, that we kept a lot of the traditions alive. And so just honoring them.
Sweet
Mr. Gaines,
The
Mr.
love
Crawford,
we share.
Mr. Adams, Mr. Williams down the street, the Sampsons, the Samuels, Mr. Braddock, even the Banks family. They were the ones that did all the decorations and helped to set everything up, and the DJs and all of that. The Parchays, y'all, I'm saying your names out here. The Garys, the Allens and Ivies down the street, the Grays on the corner. Of course, the Millers, the Williams.
The love we share. It'll take you back.
Anyway, those types of activities were amazing. We had the Playmobile, the Swimmobile, the Bookmobile, and I put the ice cream truck in that too, because while there are a few ice cream trucks you might see, I saw probably this summer 3 ice cream trucks. When I was growing up, you would see ice cream trucks at least 6 times a day.
I know, you hear that music?
You hear the music, right? All of those things made a difference. Going to the rec centers, going to the library, even the libraries were fun and had activities every weekend. It was activities at the library. Vacation Bible School, that was fun. Just all of those different types of things. I went to Dexter Elmhurst Center for you guys that in the neighborhood I grew up in. And I found out that the founder of the Dexter Elmhurst Center, I don't know if you guys remember Miss McCauley. She was the one that was coordinating the free lunch programs at the Dexter Elmhurst Center. But I found out that my pastor actually founded the Dexter Elmhurst Center, William Harris Sr., And I'm so proud to find that out. But, I learned that as an adult. I didn't know that that was part of his life work and his purpose work. He was a social worker, I think, by trade, and also a businessman. So to know that much was poured into our community, that type of love and commitment pulled into our community was amazing. Even for us, we had a paper route. I don't know, did you have a paper route, Calvin?
I had a paper route job at the corner store, worked at Dino's Pizza, shovel snow, hustled McDonald's, hustled working for the strippers in the topless bar.
Yeah, we're talking about community activities, and you
I
talk
had
about
jobs. What you
right?
mean?
Starting at 8 years old, illegal. Calvin tossing pizza dough at the pizza shop at
I
8
had
years
jobs. Let's
old
go.
in a strip club,
Let's go.
being an errand boy.
Yeah. What we miss? I tell you what I miss. Because on our good times, I miss, being able to go, like in high school, it was the flower parties.
What's a flower party?
A flower party is where you come together, everybody in the school comes together to make flowers so you can build a float. So it's actually, flowers is where they were built. So when you put together the framework for the actual float, you put the flowers in to fill in for the colors of the actual float. Mm-hmm. And so when the float comes by, all the people that showed up and did the flowers, of course we won. See, I'm so used to winning money. You know what I mean? Of course. We won all 4 years of high school, Spirit Week. Miss all of that. Built some amazing relationships. Ours was playing football in the snow in the middle of the street. Loved that. We got together recently at a funeral and was reminiscing about the tuck play. I had a tuck play.
What's that?
Well, when you're playing at night, you can't see the ball. Right? So when the ball come down and finally come down, you got to be able to catch it in the dark. And so, of course, I'm up front, like I'm blocking, because everybody at that time was faster than me. So I'm up front like I'm blocking.
You mean you didn't win all the time?
No, we won. Right? So I'm up front like blocking, and everybody is running to get around me because they think my man Babu Mardell got the ball, and the ball is in the back of my shirt. And then I reached around while they was looking for the ball. Mardell, I'm already at the touchdown like this with the ball.
That sounds like cheating to me.
No, it's at night. You can't see it. It's a tuck play. They actually ran the tuck play in flag football and everything. So
they hide the ball.
They hide the ball. And then a lot of times in the snow when we played, you get tackled on the sideline. So if you're running on the sideline of the curve, you could get tackled. As long as you're in the middle of the street, you couldn't get tackled. But once you hit that sideline to run on the sideline, we tackle you on the sideline on the side of the curve. And then the thing I miss was how we came up with basketball rims.
Milk crates.
Well, we had milk crates, but we came up with another one. We would take bad wheels and take the spokes out.
Oh, you mean on a bike, like a bicycle?
On a bike, yeah.
Okay.
And then hammer the rim up to the wooden spot on the tree. And then we had the sand, right? We had the lot where the tree was off to an angle. So it wasn't necessarily a full court, but we developed a full court from, and the ball we was using wasn't necessarily a basketball. It eventually would get to a basketball, but we had the little ball at first. And then we moved into the basketball where you got to pound it hard on the canvas to do what you need to do.
Right.
And then it was what else did we miss? Oh, one night. This is a true story. This is a famous story, right?
Famous. Okay.
Famous. One night we were walking Delano Duck home. That's his nickname was Duck, right? We're walking him home.
Right.
And we're walking up North End. So North End, where we live, North End is right there between Royal Oak Township and Oak Park. So it's the main street behind Royal Oak Township, and it's an industrial complex, right? So you had the old radio station and everything. So we're walking one day, and what do we see? A lot of people took off running. Me, I was intrigued, but it was to us, it was a UFO, right? We was like, what's that thing? And so they started slowing down. It was hilarious, right?
Who slowed down, the UFO or
Everybody,
the people?
right? So it was just hovering, right? And we started talking like, nobody is gonna believe we saw a UFO. Like, we're not gonna even tell that story. So it moved, and they took off running. And I was like, it's not coming down here, right? And they took off running. They're like, Bubs, you ain't gonna run. I was like, no, it's not interested in you. It's not even coming. They're not coming down here to get you. Like, you going to another galaxy. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Right. And so we swore not to ever, tell that story, like that we saw a UFO. And then the most thing that I missed was when I made my comedy tape. And Delana was right there, and he stayed the night, and we literally stayed in the room with the cassette recorder. You had to push play and record to record, right? And I made this whole comedy tape my 9th grade year of high school about the whole family. It was a hit. It was a hit. Some of the names that came, like my sister's name, my sister Sue's name, she still got the nickname from that tape. Oh man, we talked about everything from when my sister, it's a classic. So my aunt, right? My aunt had the house on Prairie, right? And she had the 2-family flat. Above her was Mr. Cecil, who had his own construction company, right? But Mr. Cecil would always have his, cement mixer, all of that right on the side of the house. And we lived directly next door. And we went up, over my aunt's house in the basement. Now, in that 2-family flat, the basement is small. But my aunt had a little bar. She had the little different psychedelic shack streamers. You know what I mean? So the yellow lights, and purple lights and all of that, because they were smoking their little weed or whatever. And so, oh man, it's a classic, right? And so the day I met my sister's boyfriend, he came down the steps, right? So my brother-in-law, he was short. He looked like one of the Whispers, right? But he had on this lime green suit. Now you can picture this.
It must have been the 70s.
It's the 70s. And he come downstairs.
What, the bell bottoms?
Right. And I'm on the comedy tape talking about, like the lime green suit. He looking just like one of the Whispers. And I was like, dee-da-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-wee. Right. And he, my sister, she geek, this is Johnny. Yeah, what's that mean? You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, I could not believe the bell bottoms on that outfit. So of course, you fast forward to us making this tape, and every time I would crack a joke, Delano would go, yeah, man, like Cheech and Chong. Like, yeah, man, like that. So, and we had the music. I mean, we did some of everything on this tape and played it for. If my mama only knew not to tell me to erase that cassette right now,
to be viral, right?
I would be on a whole nother financial level. I was a young, funny, brilliant funny, and it really led to me being here, because even cracking jokes, I'm pretty witty, right? And I can write a mean joke, but it led to me doing this work. But that's what I miss, was the times that my friends could stay the night although we always had people at our house, we had a big old family, but we always had people staying the night. You could stay the night. People on the couch, people on the floor. My mother always had her door open to help.
That's a blessing. And that's another thing I would say that we miss. Raising money for your neighbors. I miss sitting on the porch at night and somebody having the radio. We used to sit on the porch, and on my neighbor's porch, the Parche's porch, they had a TV. We would be up watching Benny Hill. Y'all remember Benny Hill? Mm-hmm. So it would be like an outside movie theater. You know, my mom would bring out some popcorn. We'd be passing around the popcorn watching that. We used to watch that. And my mom used to, it was scary stories. What was it called? Not Gallery.
What about Mary Hartman? Mary Hartman.
Yeah, I don't miss that though.
Mary Hartman was freaky.
Yeah, I don't miss that. Thank you. No, Benny Hill was freaky. Yeah. Benny Hill was the one that was freaky.
Like, ain't nothing compared to now.
Right. Even other things that we miss, right? Sitting on the porch at night. People just gathering together, and it's not considered a gang, right?
Safety.
It's not, there's no, regulation around people gathering together and listening to music or dancing or doing dance routines and having dance challenges, and that was cool stuff. That was good times.
People cared. Safety.
And people cared, right?
Yeah, safety.
Everybody, at least on our block, had a nice yard. We couldn't really grow grass, probably because with so many kids running across it. But everybody else the dirt was ordered, because that's what we pretty much had in the backyard.
We had a good yard.
We had dirt.
That was prerequisite. My mom teaching us, because she learned karate from her boyfriend. My mother's boyfriend name was Vesero.
Okay, Calvin. Okay.
Where is Vesero? You know what I mean? Who gave that name? Vesero was a veteran from the military.
So, looking forward into our now, the things that we can have now, the things that we can build now, and that we do it together. So, now it seems so individual, right? It seems so isolating. It's, you're in your room on your computer, on your cell phone, on your video game. It's so much more isolation than it was before. And the way that people communicate, of course, you're communicating via text as opposed to via your voice or a physical visit or phone conversation. We're so much more individualistic and not connected in the same meaningful ways, I believe, that we were in the past. The ways that all of the shortcuts, there are lots of shortcuts today. Even your text messages have shortcuts that I'm still trying to figure out what most of the abbreviations mean. I don't even know if people consider that good times now. The people who are really immersed in this culture, this technology culture, do you see that as good times now? Do you see it as good times?
Virtually, I'm sure. Virtually, they have a good time getting lost in the video game. Me, I'm good. I don't need video. I need human interaction. Bump them video games. I can't stand them.
Well, but then there's social media and there's lots of scrolling there. But so I do want to throw in this caution for people who spend a lot of time on your mobile phones, that it has been proven that it does cause disalignment with your body, with your neck and your head and your shoulders and your arms and your fingers. So using technology in the ways that we're using it now also comes with some health challenges. The blue screen and the blue from the Bluetooth, all of those things, overexposure to those, the results are starting to show.
Identity,
in a lot of people.
Period. You lose your identity.
That's when we move individualistic.
Well, individuality is what really moved our community from where it was. When you became a massive amount of single households, that moved the community from safety to whole nine, right?
Yeah.
Where you find married families, when majority of the community is married, there is safety. You see green grass, you see cooperation, right? You move into a single environment, you don't see those things, right? You see trauma, you see reactions, you see violence, you see guns, right? You see poorly educated, like it really increases. And so the identity piece is a huge piece, because then as you learned while sitting in Washington, that there's a young man out here that he doesn't even know, his chin from his toe. You know what I mean? And his mom is about to be gone. She's struggling, and that he's in trouble because he doesn't know how to go out, communicate, have a date, talk to a girl, dress up, put on, like, all of that's gone because he's been in a room on his video game. So your identity is damaged, and
your sense of self, or because it's virtual and it's a world you can escape into and create.
And the sitting is
virtually
tough. The sitting is tough as well. That's the new That's the new cigarette sitting. So,
right.
With that being said, tell them how you coming.
You can reach out to me at yourinspiredjourney.com or by phone at 313-759-7855. Again, that's 313-759-7855. You can also find me on social media, and keep a lookout for the upcoming workshops between now and the end of this year.
You can reach me at calvintman.com for speaking and ordering our books. You also can catch us mentoring, as we are today, every Sunday and Monday for the next 13 weeks now, 12 weeks now. We'll be mentoring, and hopefully you guys join us and get your son some help. Other than that, I really want to make it clear that everything that we said that we used to have, you can still have, because some communities still have it. But I got to tell you, we got to move the culture back toward two-family households, two-parent households. You might not agree. You can go through all the shucking and diving and talking, I don't know what I'm doing and all. I'm telling you, you got to move back to save the culture.
Well, we
With
have
that
to
being
move
said,
forward.
Okay, we'll move forward to save the culture.
Yes.
Moving forward to a two-parent household.
Yes.
With that being said, my name is Calvin T. Mann. You have witnessed Heather Heteru. With that being said, God bless you. And don't forget, put your family first. Peace.